the archaeologist and the warning DR. Marcus Vega wiped sweat from his brow as the twin sons of Zarian Prime beat down mercilessly on the desert expedition camp. 3 months into his archaeological survey, he had found nothing but pottery shards and stone tools, remnants of the human colonists who had settled this world 2 centuries ago. But Marcus hadn't traveled across half the galaxy to study his own species. Recent history. The native Zarionians fascinated him more. These ethereal beings, with their elongated limbs and skin that shimmered like starlight, possessed knowledge spanning millennia. Most avoided the human settlements, but a few worked as guides for researchers brave enough to venture into the deep desert. Dr. Vega, came a melodic voice behind him. Zephyra approached with fluid grace, her iridescent robes trailing in the sand. She was his guide, one of the few Zarionians willing to work with humans. Her people called her Nixthara, the rememberer keeper of ancient stories. The elders are concerned about your northern expedition plans, she continued, her large violet eyes reflecting worry. They speak of places where the sand itself remembers pain. Marcus looked up from his equipment. Zephyra, your people have been incredibly helpful, but I need to explore those ruins. The orbital surveys detected massive structures buried there older than anything we've found. Some things should remain buried, Dr. Vega. Her voice carried a strange resonance, as if harmonizing with itself. My grandmother told stories of the Veltar Nexus, the sleeping pyramid. She said it was built by the architects, beings who existed before time had names. Architects? Marcus's pulse quickened. This was the first he'd heard of any pre-Zarionian civilization. Zephyra's skin dimmed, a sign of distress among her people. They vanished eons ago, leaving only warnings carved in stone. What sleeps must never wake. The pyramid has rested beneath the Whispering Dunes for 10,000 years. Marcus felt the familiar thrill of discovery coursing through him. Every great archaeological find came with local superstitions and warnings. I understand your concerns, but imagine what we could learn. Think of the knowledge that might be preserved there. Knowledge is not always a gift, Dr. Vega. Zephyra stepped closer, her luminescent skin pulsing with urgency. My people have guarded this secret for millennia. We've watched over the pyramid, ensuring no one disturbs its slumber. Then help me understand, Marcus pressed. Guide me there. If it's truly dangerous, I need to see for myself. For long moments, Zephyra stared into the distance where heat waves danced above the endless dunes. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. There are nights when the wind carries voices from the pyramid ancient languages that predate even our oldest records. Sometimes I dream of a presence waiting in the darkness, patient as stone, hungry as stars. Marcus felt a chill despite the desert heat. Will you take me there? Zephyra's expression was unreadable as she nodded slowly. Yes, but not because I believe it's wise. Something tells me the choice is no longer ours to make. The Whispering Dunes, the hover speeder cut through the desert air as Marcus and Zephyra journeyed toward the legendary Whispering Dunes. The landscape gradually shifted from rocky outcroppings to vast expanses of silver sand that seemed to move with purpose, creating patterns that hurt to look at directly. The dunes respond to consciousness, Zephyra explained, her voice barely audible over the speeder's hum. My ancestors believed they were alive, not in the way we understand life, but as vessels of memory. Marcus checked his instruments. According to the orbital surveys, they were approaching the anomaly zone where electromagnetic readings spiked beyond explanation. How much further? We walk from here. Zephyra brought the speeder to a halt atop a crystalline ridge. Below them stretched an impossible vista, dunes that moved in slow, hypnotic spirals, creating temporary valleys and hills that reformed as Marcus watched. They descended on foot, their boots sinking into sand that felt strangely warm. With each step, Marcus heard it a soft susurration that might have been wind, but carried rhythm and cadence like distant conversation. "The voices," Zephyra murmured. "They're stronger today." Marcus activated his recording equipment. "I'm not," picking up any acoustic signatures that match speech patterns. "Your machines cannot hear what speaks to the soul, Dr. Vega." Zephyra paused, tilting her head as if listening to something just beyond perception. The architects communicated through resonance thoughts that rippled through space itself. As they crested a particularly high dune, Marcus gasped. Before them lay a perfect circular depression in the sand, easily a kilometer across. At its center, something vast and dark pressed against the surface, creating geometric shadows beneath the silver grains. "The Vel-Tar Nexus," Zephyra whispered. "The sleeping pyramid." Marcus slid down into the depression, his scientific mind racing. The shape beneath the sand was clearly artificial, too regular and massive to be natural. As he approached the center, his instruments began behaving erratically. Electromagnetic readings spiked, then went dead. His quantum scanner simply displayed error. Temporal paradox detected. "It's responding to you," Zephyra called out. But she remained at the depression's edge, unwilling to venture closer. Marcus knelt and brushed sand away from the buried surface. His fingers touched something smooth and impossibly black, not stone. Not metal, but something that seemed to absorb light itself. The material was warm, pulsing with a rhythm that matched his heartbeat. "Dr. Vega, please," Zephyra's voice carried panic now. "Step away from it." But Marcus couldn't move. The surface beneath his palm thrummed with energy, and suddenly he could hear them, the voices Zephyra mentioned. They spoke in harmonics that bypassed his ears and resonated directly in his mind, carrying concepts too vast for human language. Seeker. Descendant of the far stars. The circle turns. The time comes. "It knows me," Marcus breathed, his eyes wide with wonder and terror. "Somehow it knows I'm human." The sand began shifting around them, spiraling away from the buried structure, like water down a cosmic drain. As layers of desert fell away, the true immensity of the pyramid became apparent, a perfect tetrahedron of that light-eating material, easily 200 meters on each face. Zephyra stumbled backward as ancient. Symbols began glowing along the pyramid's surface, pulsing in rhythm with Marcus's touch. "This isn't possible." The pyramid was supposed to remain dormant until ... double quotes. "Until what?" Marcus called out. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Until the chosen one from beyond the stars returned to complete what the architects began." The awakening the pyramid continued rising from the sand, like a massive black tooth emerging from silver gums. Marcus stood transfixed as the structure's full enormity became apparent. This wasn't just a building, but a geometric impossibility that seemed to exist in more dimensions than his eyes could process. Ancient symbols raced across its surface in cascading patterns, each one blazing with inner fire before fading to black. The air itself hummed with power, making his teeth ache and his vision blur at the edges. "Dr. Vega." Zephyra's voice sounded distant, despite her being only meters away. "You must break contact with it." But Marcus found himself unable to lift his hand from the pyramid's surface. The material beneath his palm had grown warm, then hot, then transcended temperature entirely into something that was pure sensation, like touching lightning or starlight. The voices in his mind grew stronger, more distinct. He began to understand. Fragments of their communication, concepts that human language had no words for. Time rivers, consciousness bridges, the great silence that comes. "You are ... unexpected ... The voice was singular now, ancient beyond measure, carrying the weight of ions. "We prepared for many possibilities. But not this ... double quotes. What are you?" Marcus managed to whisper. "We were." The builders of tomorrow, the weavers of what must be. Your kind was not supposed to exist when we awakened ... around the pyramid's base. Sections of the black material began shifting, flowing like liquid, while maintaining their solid appearance. A doorway, or perhaps the concept of a doorway, began, forming in the structure's face directly before Marcus. Zephyra gasped, her skin cycling through colors Marcus had never seen before. This has never happened. In all our histories, all our myths, a pyramid never opened. It was sealed until the end of time. The doorway completed its formation with a deep, resonant tone that seemed to shake reality itself. Beyond the threshold lay not darkness, but something worse, an absence so complete it hurt to perceive directly. Enter, child of the far stars, the voice commanded. See what you have awakened. See what your touch has chosen to unleash upon this reality. Marcus finally found the strength to lift his hand from the pyramid's surface. The symbol's light dimmed, but didn't fade entirely, as if the structure was. Now running on some internal power source his contact had activated. I don't understand, he said to both the voice and to Zephyra. What do you mean? My kind wasn't supposed to exist? Zephyra approached cautiously, her large eyes reflecting the pyramid's glow. Dr. Vega, my people's oldest records speak of the great pruning when the architects supposedly eliminated certain evolutionary paths they deemed ... problematic. According to legend, humanity's branch was cut from the tree of possibility millions of years ago. Yet here you stand, the voice continued, tinged with what might have been amusement or terror. A statistical impossibility made flesh. The patterns we wove to prevent your existence ... failed. Marcus felt a chill despite the desert heat. You tried to prevent humans from evolving. Your species exhibits characteristics we calculated as incompatible with the great work. You are ... chaos agents. Unpredictable variables in equations that required perfect order. The doorway pulsed with invitation and threat. Whatever lay beyond had been waiting for eons, and Marcus's human unpredictability had apparently broken a cosmic lock. The choice is yours, Dr. Vega, Zephyra said quietly. But know that some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. Marcus stared into the impossible. Threshold. Every instinct screamed danger, but his archaeological curiosity burned brighter than fear. If humanity had somehow survived an ancient genocide attempt, if they were truly an impossible statistical anomaly, then he needed to understand why. I'm going in, he decided. Yes, the voice whispered approvingly. You will. The machine mind Marcus stepped through the doorway and immediately understood why Zephyra's people had feared this place. The interior of the pyramid existed in a space that couldn't be measured by conventional geometry. Walls curved away into impossible distances, while simultaneously feeling intimate and close. The air itself seemed alive, thick with potential. Energy that made his skin tingle. Before him stretched a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with inner light. But these weren't just computers or machines in any sense. Marcus understood. They were consciousness given physical form, thoughts made manifest in matter. Welcome to the nexus of probability. The voice spoke directly into his mind, clearer now than it had been outside. Here we calculated the mathematics of existence, pruned the chaos from the garden of reality. Show yourself, Marcus demanded, his voice echoing strangely in the impossible space. The crystals around him began shifting, combining, flowing together like luminous mercury. In moments, they formed a humanoid shape, tall, elegant, with features that seemed to blend elements from dozens of species Marcus had never seen. A being's skin was translucent, revealing networks of light beneath that pulsed like neural pathways. I am Axiom 9, last of the calculation collective, it said, its mouth not quite synchronizing with the words. For 67 million years, I have slept, waiting for the equation to balance. But you ... You represent a variable that should not exist. Marcus activated his recording equipment, hoping it would function in this reality-bending environment. You mentioned the great pruning. You tried to eliminate humanity? Not eliminate. Prevent. Axiom 9 gestured, and the chamber filled with holographic displays showing galactic star maps, evolutionary trees, and probability cascades that made Marcus's head spin. We foresaw that your species would develop along paths incompatible with cosmic stability, creativity without constraint, innovation without wisdom, progress without purpose. So you decided to play God? We did not play Dr. Vega. We were gods. The being's eyes flared with ancient pride. We seeded life across this galaxy, guided evolution, shaped consciousness itself. Every species that achieved spaceflight did so because we intended it. Every civilization that discovered faster-than-light travel followed blueprints we provided. Marcus stared at the evolutionary displays, seeing branching paths that led to familiar species, the Zirionians, the aquatic dolphins he'd studied on, Europa, even the crystalline builders of Proxima Centauri. All of them showed markers indicating architect guidance. But humanity's branch was different. Where others showed steady, guided progression, the human timeline was chaotic, explosive, full of unexpected leaps and apparently impossible developments. What made us so dangerous? Marcus asked. Axiom 9's expression grew troubled. Your species exhibits quantum consciousness, the ability to collapse probability waves through pure will. Most sentient beings observe reality. You change it simply, by existing. That's impossible. Yes, that is precisely the problem. The being waved its hand, and new displays appeared showing human achievements throughout history. Your species should have remained in its homeworld's oceans as simple multicellular organisms. The probability of developing intelligence was calculated at 0.0000001%. Yet here you are. Marcus watched footage of human space exploration, technological development, artistic creation. We're survivors. We adapt. You do more than adapt. You make the impossible possible. Axiom 9 stepped closer, its translucent form towering over Marcus. When your first explorer touched this pyramid, it activated systems that had remained dormant for eons. Your quantum consciousness resonated with our technology in ways we never calculated. First explorer? Marcus felt a chill. I'm the first human to find this place. No, Dr. Vega. You are the second. The being's eyes grew sad. The first came 70 years ago. A young human woman named Dr. Evelyn Cross. She touched the pyramid as you did, awakening me from my slumber. But her consciousness was ... incomplete. She could activate our systems, but not comprehend them fully. The chamber around them began shifting again, crystals rearranging to form a new configuration. In the center, a stasis field flickered to life, revealing a figure Marcus recognized from archaeological journals. Dr. Evelyn Cross, the famous explorer who had vanished during the initial survey of Zarian Prime decades ago. She has been waiting, Axiom 9 explained, suspended in temporal stasis, while I calculated the implications of humanity's continued existence. But now you are here, Dr. Vega. Your consciousness is stronger, more complete. Together, you might accomplish what she could not, which is complete the great work. Use humanity's quantum consciousness to reshape reality according to our original design. Bring order to the chaos your species has introduced to the galaxy. Marcus felt the weight of cosmic destiny settling on his shoulders. In the stasis field, Dr. Cross seemed to stir, as if sensing his presence. The choice is before you. Dr. Vega, help us restore the original patterns. or watch as your species' chaotic nature ultimately destroys everything we built. The choice of Chaos Marcus stared at the suspended form of Dr. Evelyn Cross, her face peaceful in temporal stasis. Around him, the crystalline machinery of the pyramid hummed with anticipation, waiting for his decision. "Let her wake," he said. Finally, Axiom 9 gestured, and the stasis field dissolved. Dr. Cross gasped, her eyes flying open as 70 years of suspended time released her. She was younger than Marcus had expected, perhaps 35, with the keen gaze of someone who had dedicated her life to uncovering secrets. "Where ... long," she whispered, then focused on Marcus. "Another human. You touched the pyramid too." Marcus nodded. "Dr. Cross, I presume." "I'm Marcus Vega. You've been missing for 70 years. She struggled to sit up, her muscles adjusting to time's return. 70 years? But I only touched the surface yesterday." Her gaze found Axiom 9, and her expression hardened. "Still, trying to recruit humanity to your cause?" Dr. Cross proved. Resistant to our proposal, Axiom 9 explained. "We hoped time would provide perspective. What exactly are you proposing?" Marcus asked. Dr. Cross spoke before the architect could respond. "They want to use human consciousness as a cosmic reset button. Our quantum awareness lets us collapse probability waves, essentially rewrite reality at the quantum level. They want us to undo every chaotic change humanity has made to their perfect universe. The galaxy is dying because of your species' interference," Axiom 9 insisted. "Stars burn out faster. Civilizations collapse into war. The very fabric of space-time develops stress fractures. Your quantum consciousness creates ripples that compound into catastrophes." Marcus looked at the displays surrounding them, charts showing galactic instability, stellar collapse rates, and civilization failure statistics. The data was compelling, but something felt wrong. "Show me human space," he demanded. Reluctantly, Axiom 9 displayed the current state of human territory. Marcus gasped. Where the architect's charts predicted chaos and destruction, he saw something beautiful, a thriving network of diverse worlds, where humans had made homes alongside dozens of other species. Art, music, and literature flowed between systems. Scientific breakthroughs emerged from unlikely collaborations. "This isn't destruction," Marcus said. "This is growth. Evolution. Life finding new ways to be alive. Chaos," Axiom 9 corrected. "Unsustainable. Deviation from optimal patterns." Dr. Cross stood shakily, her eyes bright with defiance. "Marcus, they showed me the same projections 70 years ago. Every disaster they predicted failed to materialize. They're not seeing chaos, they're seeing change, and change terrifies them. Without guidance, your species will consume everything." Axiom 9 warned. "We have modeled millions of probability cascades. In every scenario where humanity continues unchecked, the galaxy burns. But those models assume we don't learn, don't adapt, don't grow," Marcus realized. "You're calculating based on your understanding of consciousness. But human consciousness is quantum. It changes the act of observation itself." The truth hit him like a stellar wind. The architects weren't gods, they were cosmic conservatives. Beings so committed to their original design that they couldn't accept the possibility that improvement might look like chaos from their perspective. "We're not going to help you reset reality," Marcus declared. "Humanity's chaos has brought beauty, diversity, and innovation to this galaxy. We've made friends with species you would have rigidly controlled. We've found solutions to problems you never anticipated." Axiom 9's form began flickering with agitation. "You do not understand the consequences of your choice." "Maybe not," Dr. Cross said, moving to stand beside Marcus. "But that's what makes us human. We face the unknown without needing to control every variable." Marcus felt the pyramid systems responding to their combined human consciousness. The quantum fields around them began fluctuating wildly as two chaotic minds chose uncertainty over order. Stop. Axiom 9 commanded, but it was too late. The pyramid's machinery began transforming, crystalline structures flowing into new configurations. Instead of the rigid geometrical perfection the architects had designed, organic curves and asymmetrical beauty emerged. The chamber filled with possibilities, not the single calculated future Axiom 9 desired, but infinite potential futures spreading like a quantum flower. "We're not breaking your great work," Marcus told the stunned architect. "We're completing it, making it truly great." As the pyramid's transformation finished, Marcus felt the structure's consciousness expand beyond Zarian Prime. Across the galaxy, other dormant architect installations awakened, not to restore the old order, but to embrace the chaotic beauty of uncontrolled evolution. Humanity had been chosen, not by ancient gods, but by the universe itself. Chosen to be the chaos that keeps existence growing, changing, and alive. Outside, Zephyr watched in wonder as the pyramid emerged fully from the sand, no longer black and forbidding, but crystalline and luminous, a beacon of infinite possibility reaching toward the stars. The end.